Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Routing Loop, our weekly show where we talk about all the exciting and new stuff that's happening in the world of AWS networking. I'm your host today. My name is Sid. I'm a principal solutions architect here with AWS. And I am very excited to have a guest with me today, Christian, who is going to talk about CloudFront, WAF, and all the fun stuff which we have been doing in those services, and a new pricing model which we have released, which it's very exciting, which I think will enable you guys to build your applications at scale without having to worry about the growing costs. I'll now hand it over to Christian to introduce himself. And by the way, folks, we want to make this collaborative, and so we are closely monitoring the chat. So if during the session you have any questions, feel free to put them in chat. Remember, this is the routing loop, so we are talking about everything AWS networking. So if you have questions about generative AI or like life in general, this may not be the right place. But if you have questions related to what we're talking about today, and maybe even networking in general, feel free to put them in chat and we'll try to get to you. With that, no more delay, let's get started with today's session. Christian, I'll hand it over to you to introduce yourself and what are we talking about today?
Yeah, thanks, Sid. Hey, everyone, Christian Graziano. I'm a principal product manager with Amazon CloudFront. I've been with CloudFront and AWS for almost 6 years. And today we're going to be talking about delivering fast and secure apps at flat rates. So we can go ahead and bring up the screen share, please. And we'll go ahead and get started. Perfect. So how many of you have ever hosted a web app in the cloud and had a bill that was higher than you expected? If you've never had that, how many of you have potentially worried about the cost of your applications running in the cloud before? So if those questions are intriguing to you today, you're definitely in the right place. You'll leave today's session knowing how to eliminate unexpected bills when delivering websites and applications on AWS. So quick overview of what we'll be covering today. We're going to start with talking about the strengths and challenges of the current pricing model. Spoiler, we'll introduce and talk about flat rate pricing plans, which, as Sid mentioned, we launched back in November, a few months ago, and how these pricing plans solve some of the key challenges in the current pricing model. We'll talk a little bit about how the plans are constructed, what's included in each tier, and then we'll cover how you can extend the benefits of these plans more broadly on AWS to services like application load balancer, S3 storage, API gateway, and more. And then we'll go through, we'll have time for Q&A. We'll look through some potential architectures where you can use these flat rate plans in your applications. So really simple, what is pay-as-you-go pricing? A good place to start. This is the model that most cloud providers, including AWS, use. Basically, you start at a price of $0 per month. You choose the different features and services you need, and all your usage is metered, and so you only pay for the amount of usage that your application consumes. Generally, customers really like pay-as-you-go because it's a fair way to price a usage-based service, right? It scales with you. So as your business grows, your usage tends to grow with it, so your costs tend to scale pretty well with your revenue. There's no commitments, there's no contracts, nothing's gated. You just get started and pay for exactly what you use. Now, a few of the challenges we hear with pay-as-you-go pricing are kind of broken up into two categories. So the first is estimating your costs up front. So AWS gives you all the building blocks that you need to build your application, but typically an application is going to span multiple features, typically many services. And what we hear from customers is that it can be difficult to navigate all these different pricing pages and pricing dimensions to actually be able to estimate the costs up front before you get started. So as an example, sometimes we have pricing dimensions for different services and features, and sometimes they're really straightforward, like something like requests. But other times they might be unfamiliar dimensions like a compute unit that a customer may not be familiar with or know how to estimate upfront. And even when the dimension is really easy to understand, like something like requests, the pricing dimensions aren't normalized. So you can't just take the number of requests and estimate your costs across all the different services. You really have to look at the specific pricing dimensions of each service and features in order to be able to estimate what your costs are going to be upfront. Sometimes with something like data transfer, you don't necessarily know how much of your traffic is going to come from different countries and regions, but pricing is based on that. And so without some of these different inputs, you're not able to really accurately estimate your costs upfront. Now, the second category of challenges we hear from customers is really about bill predictability. So that just means that your bill can fluctuate month to month in unexpected ways. So what can cause the fluctuation? If we start with maybe a predictable example, maybe you schedule a Lambda function. It's going to run every hour. It's going to read an S3 file that's got a fixed number of entries. It's going to aggregate them and then append the results to some other file. In that example, you have a really stable workload. It's pretty predictable. Everything's in your control. You're not going to experience much usage or bill fluctuation. Things will tend to be pretty constant in terms of your usage. But unpredictable tends to mean you have unexpected factors, often outside your control, that can cause your usage to change. This is really common with internet-facing applications, right? You have an application, it's available at a publicly resolvable URL, and requests to that URL are going to trigger a series of features and services that are going to fulfill that request. So one person or millions can access that URL at any time, and that can cause your cost to spike unexpectedly, where you're ultimately responsible for the bill in this pay-as-you-go model.
So, Christian, would DDoS be also a factor here, something which would help?
Yeah, absolutely. So viral traffic, unexpected traffic, DDoS attacks, those are all things that can spike the costs. From a cost protection standpoint, AWS does have a series of different DDoS protection capabilities. Depending on the specific ones, in some cases, your costs won't go up with it. In other cases, you'll still incur some charges for it. And so it can be difficult for customers to get a fixed price or know what they're going to spend, even within these different variations in their traffic.
Got it. Perfect.
So if we just take a really simple example of what this looks like in practice, let's say you're going to host a statically generated website. You're going to need quite a few services to put this together, right? So the first thing you'll need is some DNS. So you use Route 53. You're going to need storage to actually host all of your static assets, your CSS files, your JavaScript files, your images. So you probably use something like S3 for that. You'll need a web server to actually serve the request, so you can use CloudFront. You want a TLS certificate, so you can actually serve the domain over HTTPS. You'll probably want some security with a service like WAF, maybe some DDoS protection, and then some logging, which is going to come through CloudWatch. So on the cost estimation side, right, you're going to have 5 different pricing pages. All the pricing dimensions are going to be different depending on not only the different services, but the features within those services, and they're not standardized. So you can't take something like number of requests and say, I'm gonna have 100,000 requests, I think, for my application. That's kind of my forecast. How much does it cost to serve 100,000 requests, web requests for DNS? How much does it cost to serve 100,000 requests on a storage basis, or for the web server, or for security? And a lot of those questions don't even make sense, like DNS or storage, but you can't just take that simple request dimension and just map it uniformly to get a cost estimate. You really have to go into each of these different pricing pages and go into the different pricing dimensions and estimate your different costs. Now, that's on the estimation side. Now, once your website's up and running, you might even have stable traffic for many months, maybe 5, 6, 7 months. Your bill's pretty predictable. You're spending, let's say, between $25 and $50 per month. But suddenly it makes the homepage a hacker news. Maybe Elon Musk tweets about your startup or your open source project or whatever you're hosting here, and you get a surge of traffic. Could generate PR. That could generally be good, but if it's not tied with revenue, you're going to see your costs increase, and you may not have necessarily the revenue that goes with it. And so for customers, thinking about both these two things, estimating costs up front and what their bill is going to be at the end of the month, even when they can't control or some of these factors that drive the usage or outside their control are kind of two areas of feedback where we hear quite a bit from customers. So to address these two challenges, what we did is back in November, just before reInvent, we announced flat rate pricing plans. What these are is we took the different features and services most customers need to deliver and secure web apps on AWS, and we effectively combined them all into one single monthly price. So you pay one single monthly price, and you're going to get these different pricing plans that include CloudFront CDN to actually deliver the content and serve it. It includes AWS WAF and DDoS protection. You get bot management capabilities and analytics. CloudWatch logs to do all the logging. You get DNS from Route 53, of course, a TLS certificate. We've included some serverless edge compute, so you can do some dynamic compute to serve and process your applications at the edge. And then S3 storage credits to offset some of your S3 storage costs. So all of these different features and services, rather than being priced separately and showing up as separate line items on your bill, with a flat rate pricing plan, they show up single line item, one charge, and it includes effectively all the usage from these different features and services under a single price. Most importantly, though, is if your usage fluctuates, you're not going to face any overage charges. Your price is going to stay the same that month. So we'll take a look next at how these different plans are structured and how they work, so you can get a better understanding. So what we did is we've broken the plans out into these 4 different tiers. So we have the free tier starting at $0 per month, the pro tier for $15, the business tier for $200 per month, and then the premium tier for $1,000 per month. Now, every one of these tiers is going to include, CloudFront, WAF, DDoS protection, DNS, and S3 storage credits. But all the other different features that are included, and we'll look at those a bit later, are going to vary depending on the plan tier that you select. So as you go through, you just as you're evaluating this as a customer, you'll select the tier that has the features that you need that accommodates kind of your baseline traffic. So what you can see at the bottom is this monthly usage allowance. This is the amount of kind of usage that the plan is designed for. So for example, the free tier goes up to 1 million requests and 100 gigabytes. The pro tier, though, goes up to 10 million requests. Then it goes up from there. So these usage allowances, these are not hard limits. They're soft limits. Basically, they're guidance for you to kind of know where you should situate your application. So you'll pick based on the features and usage. But what the usage allowance means is we look at usage over kind of a 2 to 3 month period. If you pick the pro tier and you're at 10 million requests and 1 month you go up to 15 million or 20 million or 30 million, that's not a problem. We'll continue serving your application. Everything's going to work as normal. You have access to all the features. And most importantly, you're still going to pay $15 per month, right? There's not going to be any overage charges. But if over a period of many months, maybe 2, 3, 4 months, you start noticing that you've actually grown, right? Instead of doing 8, 10 million requests per month, you're now starting to really consistently do 15 million or 20 million or 50 million. You've really outgrown it. That's the point after several months where you'd consider kind of upgrading into the next tier to find a usage allowance that kind of better suits your application. So these are really around guidance and kind of knowing where you should right size, but they're not hard limits. You can exceed them. You're not going to face any overage charges.
So, Christian, these requests, are these for a single CloudFront distribution, or this like an account level construct? Like, how do we go about thinking that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So each of these plans is per CloudFront distribution, which is, you can kind of think of that as one application. So each of your application has a certain plan associated with it. And what's really nice is it allows you to mix and match instead of having an account-based construct. So for example, if you have 3 different applications and CloudFront distributions, you might pick the business tier for one, the pro tier for the other, and then the free tier for the third one.
Awesome. We do have a couple of other questions, maybe not directly related to this, but for CloudFront, we are talking about these 10 million, 125 million requests. So tech_first asks, do we have to pre-warm CloudFront and WAF for this expected traffic surge?
No, not at all. So you just It's you just sign up, pick the plan, and we'll be able to scale to handle your traffic. These monthly usage allowances are really guidance for you as a customer to know where you should be. They're a way to right size your application. So, for example, if you're doing 5 million requests, you don't need to go into the business tier unless you want those additional features. But they're really for you to just kind of think of as guidance for which tier to select.
Awesome. I do see some great feedback. People are quite excited. This is awesome. This is really cool. Good to hear. PG Crusher says this sounds too good to be true. uh, I, I don't know, Christian, if you have any thoughts on if it's too good to be true or how our customers responding to this.
Yeah, no, I mean that's pretty consistent with the feedback we were getting. Definitely is not too good to be true. These are live and available today. You can go right now and sign up for these. But yeah, there's a lot of exciting things to cover. We'll go into each of the plans. I do want to mention on the usage allowance, these number of requests and data transfer. Any blocked request by WAF, so anything that's basically blocked by your security config, DDoS attacks, none of those are ever going to count against your usage allowance. So if you get a large attack or you get, you've blocked traffic from a particular country and you get billions of requests from that country, none of that will ever count against your usage allowance. So the usage allowance is really intended to be legitimate, kind of wanted requests that your application has, and you get to define what those are based on the security rules.
Got it. Another great question from Rolex IMC. He asks, or she asks, is the free tier only for new accounts, or is this the 1 million free tier available for existing accounts as well?
Yeah, so plans are available for new and existing accounts, so anyone can jump in today and start using these.
Okay, awesome. Ken Attard asks, if they already have private pricing, is private pricing still the best option, or should they look at this?
Yeah, so if you have private pricing, these are per distribution, so you can continue using your private pricing. But if for any individual distribution or sets of distributions you want to select a flat rate plan, you absolutely can go on that one distribution or a set of distributions, and you can assign it a specific flat rate plan. And so that'll use the plan price instead of your flat rate, instead of your private price for that particular distribution.
Awesome. One more, Louis George 8641 asks, the Pro plan, is this for multiple web apps, or is this something which if they have multiple web apps, they should be looking at using?
Yeah, so typically the plans are going to be for one distribution and one application. They're going to be for one kind of root level or apex domain. So you can have subdomains under an individual plan, but if you have separate domains and separate applications, you'd look at a different plan for each.
Yeah, and as Christian mentioned, it's for one distribution, but a lot of times customers have like multiple web apps under the same domain tied to a single application, and that would obviously warrant such high requests like 10 million and 50 terabyte data transfer. So that's definitely valid, but depends how your applications are set up behind the distribution.
Yeah, that's right.
Tech First asks, will there be any hourly charges irrespective of usage?
No, there's no hourly charges. So you sign up for the Pro tier, it's $15 per month. That's the price that'll show up on your bill regardless of usage.
Okay, awesome. I think that's all. Oh, there was one which wasn't related to this. In WAF, can we add custom rules to Web ACL? The answer is yes. You can create custom rules for your Web ACLs. So yeah. I think you're good with questions for now. So I think we can move ahead, Christian.
Okay, and that's actually a good transition question, because I'm going to start walking you all through the different tiers, and we'll look at what's included in each, the different features, and when you would use them. So we'll go through each of the tiers. We'll start with the free tier, which is of course popular. This is a great place to start for personal projects and getting started. So if you have a personal website, a blog, you want to set up a proof of concept, without necessarily signing up to one of the higher tier plans, this is a really good place to start. It effectively includes kind of all the core CDN and security capabilities you need for just getting a basic web app up and running. So we'll walk through these. One thing to keep in mind is the features are additive. So we're going to talk about all the features that are in the free tier, Then when we go to Pro is going to introduce new features, but it's going to also have all the features of Free plus Pro. And then as we move to Business, we're going to add features to the previous tier. So just think of these as aggregating on top of each other. So real quick, kind of what's included in this is you're going to get always on DDoS protection. So L3, L4 DDoS protection included in your application. You'll get AWS WAF included, so you can protect against common web threats out of the box. You can do things like IP-based rate limiting with WAF. So if you want to limit certain IP addresses from overwhelming your application with too many requests over like a 5-minute period, you can define the different limits and rate limit those requests. You can certainly do geographic traffic blocking. So if all of your traffic is going to be in, let's say, United States, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, and maybe Singapore, you can just set up your geographic traffic to only allow traffic from those specific countries. And anything else that's blocked is not going to get counted against your usage allowance. You get both the security benefits, but also making sure that you're able to kind of shape your usage allowance as an example. Serverless edge compute's included. So this will use CloudFront functions. Really good way to do like rewrites, redirects, some conditional logic that this all executes at the CloudFront edge locations instead of your origin. So these are really quick, adding security headers or modifying headers, that type of thing. Dynamically switching origins as well is something that you can do. Smart routing, so we automatically route based on live network conditions, network traffic, internet weather, different performance characteristics for different networks. So that's included by default here in the free tier. You of course get the global CloudFront CDN, Route 53 public DNS is included, free TLS certificate through ACM. You benefit from our tiered caching, so we included that in the free tier. So what that means is request hits our edge location. If it's not in cache there, instead of going to your origin, we'll go to these really massive regional edge caches. I think we've got about 13 of them before your origin. Typically, those can store a lot more cache. And so it'll give you better performance, a higher cache hit rate, and less load on your origin, which also helps with any origin-facing costs there. Default caching rules are included, some default cache keys. You get invalidations included, and then, of course, you get 5 gigabytes of S3 storage included. So this S3 storage, the way I like to think about it is this is just kind of like a bonus. It's a credit that hits your payer account. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to use 5 gigabytes with this particular CloudFront distribution. You're just going to get a 5 gigabyte of S3 standard storage credits to offset any S3 standard storage in your payer account. This one, the usage allowance goes up to 1 million requests and 100 gigabytes. You can have up to 3 free tier accounts, 3 tier plans in your account at a time. And then CloudFront also has a perpetual free tier that goes up to 1 terabyte if you're on pay-as-you-go pricing. That's still available to you. Nothing's going away there. You can actually use both of these if you have both pay-as-you-go distributions and flat rate. I'll pause there, Sid. I don't know if we have any questions in the chat on the free tier.
Yeah, on the free tier, there's one question. Is the DDoS protection the basic one, or is this the advanced shield?
This is basic.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the pro tier. So in addition to free tier, you're going to get some additional features here in usage. Pro tier is really designed for smaller websites, blogs, and applications. It's a really good kind of starter paid plan. It includes a lot of use case-based security protections, key value store, and logging. So use case-based protections, you get protections for WordPress, PHP, and SQL databases. You can, in your WAF security rules, create rules that are based on HTTP request headers and use those to actually filter out different and create custom security rules. We include CloudFront's Edge key value store here. So really nice way along with CloudFront functions where you can actually store some data in this key value store. And then in your CloudFront function, you can look it up and kind of dynamically and conditionally respond to different requests. Logging comes in the pro tier. So this is CloudWatch logs. This is both for CloudFront standard access log as well as WAF logs associated with the distribution. All those can be sent to CloudWatch. There's no additional costs. All that All the CloudWatch log ingestion costs are included in this $15 per month price. So you don't have to worry about any additional cost there, and you can turn on logging and monitor your application. And then S3 storage credits are also included, but on the Pro tier, it goes up to 50 gigabytes. And the usage allowance goes up to 10 million requests. Importantly, all paid plans, so Pro, Business, and Premium, all allow you to go up to 50 terabytes of monthly data transfer, which is quite a bit. Majority of customers don't deliver that level of volume. So for a lot of customers, they're not going to have to really think about data transfer. They're more going to be looking at the number of requests included in each plan.
Awesome. We have a question. Is there any use case for AI with respect to pricing? I'm trying to understand this question. I feel the question is, with this AI use cases coming up, is this one of the motivation behind a pricing model like this, which I feel it's valid as customers are building AI agents, and that's going to be getting a lot of traffic, a lot of public traffic. A fixed price model would make a lot of sense, but I don't know if Christian, you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, that's actually an article actually went live today from an analyst on this point, talking about the rise in AI applications and kind of like the spikiness and the variability in traffic that some customers are already starting to see as AI agents start hitting their applications, and there's a lot of variable usage. So the fixed rate aspect of this really works well with that. On the feature side, though, for AI, I'm actually glad you brought up this question. We did add a feature recently that's not shown in the screenshot, which is around AI traffic visibility. So in the Pro tier, on the WAF side, we include AI traffic visibility. So you can actually see which AI bots are accessing your application. You can see, agents, what the different intent is. Are they scraping? Are they training, etc.? And so you get that visibility included in the Pro tier.
Awesome. Yeah, that's very relevant. We have a question which I probably need some clarification. Weird Kumquat asks any reason why this reason should not be activated. So maybe there's a typo in there. So if you could just clarify what your question is, and we can come back to it in a bit. Retro to classic to modern says this is a great alternative to Cloudflare. Good to hear. Apart from that, I don't see there's any other pending questions. So I think we can continue.
Okay. Yeah, and these are I did forget to mention, these are just month to month. There's no annual commitment. You don't need to commit to a year to get our best prices. You sign up for the Pro. It's basically through the end of the billing cycle. You can cancel or you can continue renewing, but you don't need to commit to a 12-month period for any of these plans. Okay, let's jump to business. The use case here obviously tends to be more business or commercial applications. The main difference you'll see in business is this is going to include advanced security capabilities, and the monthly usage allowance is going to go up to 125 million requests. So in addition to all the features in Free and Pro, this includes advanced DDoS protection, so that's where that comes in. What that means, this is the L7 anti-DDoS AMR, Amazon Managed Rule that ships with WAF. This gives you layer 7 application level DDoS protection. And what this does essentially is we will baseline your application. We'll kind of learn your standard traffic patterns, and we'll be able to differentiate between organic natural surges in traffic, like viral traffic, social media, those types of spikes, versus actual DDoS attacks. And we'll be able to block the DDoS traffic with this. So this is a really popular feature for business applications that want to be protected against DDoS. Want to make sure they're actively blocking DDoS attacks and have those protections in place. The business tier also includes bot management and analytics. So for those of you familiar, this is WAF Common Bots. That's included in the business tier. Again, no added cost. It's baked in and you can turn that on. You get visibility into which bots are accessing your application, which AI bots as well. And then you can take action and decide if it's a particular type of bot. Do you want to block them? Do you want to challenge them? Etc. Do you want to allow them? We also make a distinction between verified bots and unverified. So, any bot can say they're Google bot and they can put whatever in the user agent string, but we can actually verify that it's actually Googlebot. And so you can make decisions based on verified versus unverified bots. This plan includes regex-based threat filtering, so your WAF rules, you can actually use regular expressions to craft those. You can use JavaScript challenges here to ensure it's a human visitor. It's a browser visitor, excuse me. Here's where you get custom cache keys. So this is where you can actually build a fully custom cache key that's custom to your application. Private origins within VPC. So we'll look at more of how this works in the architecture section. This is a really great feature where you can actually prevent direct to origin attacks. So think traffic that's going to bypass CloudFront and go directly to, like, let's say, your application load balancer and bypass all your WAF rules that you've configured with CloudFront. So with this, you can have an application load balancer, for example. You can keep it private, so it's completely off the public internet. It's in a private subnet. And then your designated CloudFront distribution is the only way you can actually access that ALB. So CloudFront can connect, and that just ensures that all traffic is flowing through CloudFront. It's being filtered through all your WAF security rules, and there's no kind of direct to origin traffic bypassing or sidestepping CloudFront. Finally, you get an uptime SLA in the business plan, and then the S3 storage credits jump up to 1 terabyte.
We do have a couple of questions, which I think we can take before we jump on to the premium tier.
Sure.
Let me just scroll up and make sure I don't miss any. So any reason why this should not be used, right? So what's the catch here? Like, we have a comment saying, I see only advantages and no risk here. So when would be a good reason? What would be a good reason to not go with fixed pricing?
Yeah, we wanted to let the customer make the choice of if they want to use pay-as-you-go or flat rate. I would say we're seeing that customers are predominantly preferring flat rate pricing, especially new, as we look at like new customers, these are the most popular choice. Some reasons we've heard from customers not choosing them is, let's say on a pay-as-you-go basis, maybe your bill is $15 or $20 per month for these different features, and you decide that maybe a $200 business plan is more than you want to spend, your usage is low, and you're okay with the risk if the traffic spikes, that it's going to basically be on a pay-as-you-go basis. So that's kind of one reason. Typically customers will have very low usage, very low pay-as-you-go spend, and a particular customer maybe doesn't see the value prop of spending a little bit more to get that fixed price predictability or access all these features that we've kind of bundled in or combined into these plans. And so that's kind of the primary reason I see. Otherwise, most customers tend to prefer this. Many customers save money with these plans. We're seeing customers who are saying, okay, this, maybe I spend $150 or $125 per month, but I'd rather spend $200. It's a little bit more, but I know my bill's going to be fixed. I never have to worry about, bill spikes ever again. Plus I get all these amazing features included out of the box that maybe they weren't using. So those are kind of some of the considerations we've been hearing from customers.
Yep. Awesome. A clarification question from Ken Attard. Can you explain what will happen if the thresholds are exceeded? You mentioned soft limits. So do they need to go to AWS support to increase their limits, or like what would the customer experience be?
Yeah, great question. So the usage allowances are basically fixed into these plans. So you can't increase from 125 million requests, but you can upgrade to like from Pro. If you exceed the 10 million, you can upgrade to business to get 125 million. So that's kind of your path. There's soft limits in the sense that if you serve more than 125 million requests on the business plan, we still continue serving your traffic. We don't shut down your application. We don't stop serving it. Everything continues. What we're more looking at is over a sustained, prolonged period over several months. You want to make sure your application is kind of fits within these usage allowances. If over a several month period, let's say 3-4 months, you're really exceeding this usage allowance by a significant amount consistently over many months, at that point, we can potentially adjust the performance on these plans. So we'll keep the price fixed. There's no overages. But if you're trying to do, 500 million, 800 million, a large number above this usage allowance consistently, again, over many months, we might serve your traffic from fewer pops, more distant pops, especially during kind of peak traffic. We might adjust the performance of these. However, hardly, this is something that most customers will never experience. Plans are designed to kind of accommodate flexibility. It's more that these are not unlimited usage plans, and so customers should look at what their usage is and kind of what their baseline usage is, and make sure that they're right sizing over a 2 to 3 month period.
Yeah. So basically, you don't have to get this right at the first go, right? You can make an estimation on what plan you need, whether it's business or premium or just even starting with free, and based on your current usage patterns. And if you go above it, that's totally fine, as Christian said. But if you are, overreaching your sort of plan over a sustained period, then I think you just need to, go back onto the drawing board and see if you want to switch to a different plan. So, but there isn't any throttling from what I understand. If you hit those plan limits, there is flexibility, and we understand these things are difficult to get right at the get-go. So it is expected that you may choose a plan, but you may not fully utilize it, or you may be you may need to move to a different plan in few months. So you have that flexibility.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And the way I like to think about it is, on a pay-as-you-go basis, if your usage goes up, your price is going to go up with it on that particular month. With this, you kind of have you have a buffer built in. Your price is going to be 200 per month. If you exceed it, again, no big deal. Maybe it's a one-off, but if you've actually outgrown and you're now in the 300 million, request range, and you're well outside that usage allowance, give yourself a couple months and say, okay, I've now actually outgrown this plan. It gives you kind of a softer transition to upgrade. It gives you a little bit more time, and you also have that fixed price benefit while you're growing. So you can kind of choose when the right time is to upgrade. And typically it's going to be, I've seen sustained growth versus, I'm seeing some fluctuation in my traffic, but I don't expect this to continue.
Cool. We have one more question, is from Weird Kumquat. Is there in the AWS console a calculator which shows how much we should save or how much of these resources we currently use, so I can show the teams to get their buy-in? So if I summarize this, you want to try to understand what your current usage is and how much you're paying for it, and would a fixed plan make sense for you?
Yeah, great question. So we don't have a direct current spend versus plan spend calculator in the console. Customers will kind of need to do that calculation on their own. What I can tell you is these plans are, depending on your usage, especially across different services, like on a CloudFront basis alone, 50 terabytes on pay-as-you-go pricing, I think, is something like $4,200 per month. So if you're actually doing quite a bit of data transfer, versus maybe 1 or 2 terabytes, you're probably going to save some money just from being in these plans, plus the WAF usage, plus the CloudWatch usage, plus the DNS. So for most customers, we typically see that these are a cost savings, but there are cases where a customer might end up, like the example mentioned earlier, maybe you're spending $125 a month and going to business is actually a little bit more expensive, but there's additional value in just knowing your price is fixed, and AWS is absorbing that versus that risk being on you as the customer. From a usage perspective, in the console, we do show you your historical usage over 6 months, and we do have recommendations based on your historical traffic, and you can actually go and see those when you're selecting a plan. So from a usage perspective, you do get that guidance in the console.
Yep, and you can also look at your cost usage reports, which will have these line items, how much you're getting charged currently for how many requests, and sort of the drill down there. So I've seen a lot of customers just take their cost usage report to extract some of the usage metrics, and then use that to figure out what they have today, and then you can use similar model here to figure out if this would make sense. Retro to classic to modern asks any bounty for it, finding any loopholes. I don't think you'll find any loopholes here, because again, this is just the pricing model. You're still getting all those great services which you have been using so far. So it is genuinely fixed pricing. You're not going to have that experience where there's a fine line with the terms and conditions and you get billed for something later on. So don't worry about that. The second question is it all automated, no manual operation required? So once Christian, once customers sign up for a plan, all the billing and the charge is all automated, right? They don't have to do anything else.
Yeah, that's right. Fully automated. So you sign up for a plan, the CloudFront, the WAF, the DNS, that's all associated with the plan, the logging, everything's fully automated. So you're just going to get a single line item in your bill for that plan. Let's say business $200 per month. And then it's going to include all that usage. So you don't have to do anything else.
Perfect. Louis George 8641 asks, can we please share the links for the official documentation? Yes, we will do it. I'll share that shortly in chat.
I'll put up a QR code at the end that's got the launch blog, and then that also has links to the documentation and all the resources.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, just stick around. We'll have the QR code towards the end. I think it's much easier. Scan it from your phone. With that, I think we have answered all the questions.
Great. Let's move on. Let's move on to premium then. So premium plan, this one is really scaling on usage, and it's going to help protect mission critical applications. So here you're going to see increased performance, load reduction, and some failover capabilities. And the usage allowance is going to jump up to 500 million requests. So here you get, for those of you that are familiar, you get CloudFront Origin Shield included. So you get some high-speed origin routing and, of course, origin load reduction. So the way to think about origin load reduction is it's reducing your cost at the origin, right? CloudFront already caches, but it can also, with Origin Shield, do things like collapsing requests and reducing how much actually goes to your origin. So things like you probably need less auto scaling. You can provision less in region, and that's going to save you on your regional origin costs. You get automatic origin failover here in the premium plan. And then you get 5 terabytes of S3 storage included. I do want to mention we've actually been busy and launching quite a bit. In the business plan, we launched Origin Mutual TLS. So if you want to actually secure the connection between CloudFront and your Origin using Mutual TLS, that's now available in the business tier. And then on the premium tier, we've added Viewer Mutual TLS. So basically between your end viewer and CloudFront, you can use Mutual TLS to secure the connection and basically mutually verify both parties. So that's included in the premium tier as well. Okay, let's jump forward. This is one of the more interesting parts, I think, of all of this, which is we've talked about the plans and they're great. However, I always like to emphasize these are not just for CloudFront customers. These are really for any AWS customer or even a non-AWS customer serving any internet-facing web application. And I want to talk about some of the benefits to customers serving directly to the internet out of Application Load Balancer, S3, API Gateway, or any other AWS service, and why you should consider these flat rate plans. So right now, if you're serving out of, let's just take ALB as an example. If you're serving out of ALB directly to the internet, you're going to pay data transfer costs out of that ALB. The costs are going to be variable, right? It's going to be on a pay-as-you-go basis. And because CloudFront's not there, you're going to see higher latency to your end users than what you would get if you were using CloudFront. Now, what we've done is we've designed these plans where you can kind of bolt on a delivery and security layer on top of your existing applications. And we've kind of combined the set of services and features in a way that allows this to really be bolted onto your existing applications. But something to know on how you can actually extend these cost savings and kind of get this like flat rate benefit to your ALB, your S3, your API Gateway, and some of these other services is data transfer costs are waived between AWS Origins and CloudFront. So when you're using Application Load Balancer or S3 or API Gateway behind CloudFront, we don't charge you from the data transfer of actually, from those services into CloudFront. they get zero rated effectively. So what that means is you can put CloudFront, basically you've got your viewer, you can put CloudFront first, you've got your ALB or S3 behind it. What that's going to do is it's going to, you're only going to have data transfer from CloudFront to the viewer. You put that into a flat rate plan, and now all of your data transfer is a fixed price for that month. You don't have to worry about variable data transfer out of your ALB. And so you get this fixed price. You get a lot of the cost savings as well, because that's baked into these plans as well on a data transfer basis. And you get all the benefits and features, the security, the CDN, the logging, all these kind of plan features that we've bundled in are included out of the box. So typically when I talk to customers and what we hear from customers is a lot of customers who don't use CloudFront today, either at all or for certain applications, are now moving to CloudFront specifically for these flat rate plans, because they can kind of extend this benefit into their other AWS services and get this flat rate for their data transfer, plus get, you know, better performance, better security with all these features we've included. I'll pause here to see if there's any questions in the chat, Sid.
Yeah, we have one more. This is about plan change. So what happens, this is from Radu Mad. What happens if we have opted for a pro plan and mid-month they decided that they want to upgrade to a newer plan, as well as vice versa, where they have a higher plan and mid-month they want to reduce to a lower plan? How is the pricing in that scenario?
Yeah. So plans are fully self-service, so you can upgrade, downgrade, cancel, sign up directly in the console. You don't have to go through support. If you're in the pro plan mid-month and you decide, hey, I want to upgrade either because I need more usage, it's now been many months, I've grown, I'm ready to kind of, you know, move to a bigger tier, or I really want to turn on this DDoS protection, or I'm getting attacked and I really, you know, need to move to business quickly and turn on these features. I need bot control, etc. You can go in the console, upgrade. The upgrade's immediate, and that'll switch you over to the business plan. It will update your usage allowance. You immediately have access to all the new features, no delay. If you choose to downgrade, again, you can do it at any time. The downgrade will take effect starting at the next billing cycle. So, for example, if you're on the pro plan and you want to downgrade to free, you downgrade. Today is March 18th. So on April 1st, it'll get scheduled. On April 1st, you'll actually move from the pro plan down to the free plan, and that'll take effect.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't see any other questions at this moment.
Okay. Yeah, one other thing I wanted to add on this slide, for those of you considering it, is a lot of times for CDN and for CloudFront, customers tend to think of static assets and like things that are cacheable. But I do want to talk about the dynamic non-cacheable use case, like API traffic. A lot of customers still use CloudFront for non-cacheable workloads, and you can still benefit from these flat rate plans in CloudFront in general. From a performance perspective, you're still going to get better performance through CloudFront than serving out of region for dynamic non-cacheable traffic, for a few reasons. So number one, the TLS termination. So that round trip is going to happen. It's got to make a round trip, and it's going to happen between the viewer and CloudFront instead of the viewer and your application and region. So that shorter distance is going to basically reduce latency and create for a shorter round trip, which is going to be faster performance. The second thing is, even if we've got to go, let's say, from a viewer in Seattle to North Virginia, and it's dynamic, so you put CloudFront, but you know we still got to go to your API gateway, let's say, or your ALB. Even though that distance is the same, CloudFront maintains persistent connections open to your origin. So we don't have to do the round trip connection establishment to reestablish a connection. That connection is open from that edge location. We can reuse those connections, and that's going to make that connection go much faster. And then finally, Seattle to North Virginia, instead of the user going all the way over the public internet, they're going to enter at the nearest CloudFront edge location. And then from there, they're going to go over the AWS private backbone all the way to Virginia. And so that's going to give you better performance, less network congestion. All those things will reduce latency. So again, if you have a dynamic workload, these flat rate pricing plans and CloudFront in general is still a really great use case and something you should consider instead of serving directly out of some of these regional services. Okay, so we'll briefly look at just what these architectures might look like and how you would set these up. So for S3, Lambda function URLs are elemental. Sid, can you see my cursor moving?
No.
Okay, no problem. I'll describe it. So on the left, you've got the incoming traffic. TLS termination is going to happen there. Any bad traffic is going to get blocked by your WAF security rules at CloudFront. So AWS's infrastructure is basically ingesting, absorbing, filtering all this inbound traffic rather than your own infrastructure like an EC2 instance that you've provisioned. It goes to CloudFront, and then it's going to travel into our regional edge caches here in the middle. Those are going to be in region. And then from there, if it's cacheable and not in cache, it'll go to your, let's say, your S3 bucket. Now, the thing here is you don't want traffic to, if you set up CloudFront and you set up all these security rules and you've got a flat rate plan and you've got this, predictable pricing, what you don't want is somebody going directly to your S3 bucket, bypassing all your security, bypassing all this flat rate benefit, and just downloading, gigabytes, terabytes of data out of your S3 bucket, bypassing all your security rules, and going direct to the origin and kind of sidestepping. So in that case, what we recommend is you create a private S3 bucket. So buckets not accessible publicly. You use origin access control, which is a SIG-v4 signature method that we have. You set up the policy in your S3, and we help you set this up in the CloudFront console. And basically, CloudFront and S3 can work together to make sure that CloudFront's authorized to serve that content. So basically, CloudFront becomes your public endpoint for your S3 bucket, but your bucket itself remains private. Now you've got the flat rate, you've got all your WAF security rules and all your filtering, and you've got much more control over what's going in and out of your bucket and all the security and requests going through there. Any questions on this one?
Not exactly on this architecture, but we have a pricing question from Radomad. Appreciate all these insightful questions here. So this question is the pricing same for all the regions, or is there a regional aspect to the pricing?
Yeah, great question. There's no regional aspect to the pricing. So anywhere in the world, the price is going to be the same. If you pick the Pro plan for $15 per month, that's your price, and you can serve using CloudFront traffic anywhere in the world.
Perfect.
Amazing question. Thanks for asking. Okay, finally, on the application load balancer, this looks really similar. CloudFront WAF is ingesting, absorbing, filtering all your inbound traffic at the edge. It's going to go into the region through the regional edge cache. And then here we recommend you set up your load balancer in a private VPC so that it's not publicly resolvable. Again, because it's not internet facing, you can avoid any risk of direct to origin traffic that's going to sidestep CloudFront. Then you've got CloudFront VPC private origins. It's included in the business and premium plans. That's going to ensure that only your designated CloudFront distributions, so no other CloudFront distribution from other customers. Your designated CloudFront distributions can connect into your VPC. And again, all that traffic is now controlled and flowing through CloudFront, through your WAF security rules. You don't have to worry about bill spikes. You don't have to worry about DDoS attacks, sidestep. That's all happening through CloudFront. Great. We can continue going through Q&A. I think we've got some more time, but I do want to share, this is the QR code for the launch blog post from November. This is a really good overview to everything we discussed today. The blog post also links to our developer documentation, where there's a lot more detail and probably answer more of your questions. And then, of course, links to the console. You can just go directly to the CloudFront console. Right now, in a couple of minutes, you sign up and get started, and you're up and running with these flat rate pricing plans.
Awesome.
We can take some questions. I'd also love to know if, just feedback-wise, if any of you are considering this for any specific applications, and if this looks like something you all would be interested in using, particular tiers that look interesting. Any feedback would be appreciated as well in the comments.
Cool. There is a question around traffic pricing. I think you did address a little bit of it, but if you could just recap. The question here from Radomad is, how about ingress and egress traffic pricing? How does it sort of fit in here? And is there any pricing if we are transmitting data only between AWS services?
So if you're using CloudFront and application load balancer, let's say, there's the data transfer from the load balancer to CloudFront. That's free and it continues to be free. And then there's CloudFront to the viewer, so that's covered by the flat rate plan. Additionally, if you have something like a post request, a put request, where you're actually sending inbound data transfer from CloudFront into your ALB, that's also included in the cost of the plan. So there's no separate charges for that ingress data transfer between CloudFront and your origin.
Okay, perfect. And Radomad or anyone, if you have any follow-up questions on that, let us know. Because your architecture might have additional traffic flows which we may not be considering here. So if there's any specific traffic flow which you want to confirm if that's included or not included, just put that in chat. There's a question from Ken Ettard. This looks like more of a PFR than a question here, but Ken, is there any future plan to group multiple distributions under a single plan? So one plan which covers like 5 distributions, for example.
No, there's not. We really designed these to be focused on a distribution, especially when you think of all the associated resources and the billing and the way that kind of that all works. We have heard from many customers actually since launching who love the flat rate plans and they want to be able to get more. They want to bring their applications in and allow more usage than what we currently allow, like that 500 million requests or the 50 terabytes. That's something that we're currently evaluating. But the ability to group multiple distributions, likely not.
Okay, awesome. I don't see any other questions. We do have maybe just a minute or two left here. I did see a question around advanced DDoS protection versus like the usual free DDoS protection. And I don't think we have time to talk about that, but that is in our documentation. So we can share some links there, or just Google, you should be able to get to that comparison. And then we also had a question around who typically in an enterprise organization makes a decision of whether they should go with a flat rate pricing or a pay-as-you-go model. Is that an IT team? Is it a non-IT team? I would say like it depends really on the organization. At the end, I've seen a lot of organizations where it's the application team have this end-to-end ownership and has to make a decision on what they need to do. They do have a cloud center of excellence, which provides best practice guidance, and they also have a procurement team and a FinOps team, which is there to provide guidance as well. So it varies a bit, but there are both technical and non-technical teams who have skin in the game here on what's the right pricing model to leverage. With that, I think we are towards the end of it. I appreciate everyone joining, and we will be back next Thursday with another topic. I don't know what that is on top of my head, but it's going to be exciting. And Christian, really appreciate taking the time and joining us and sharing this fantastic release. I think everyone's really excited. I know I am. I'm speaking with customers, and they really like this announcement. With that, thanks everyone for joining. Have a great Thursday, Friday, and a good weekend. Thank you.